The difference between social media and marketing is your connection with people on their terms. You might have a lot of followers, but you can't engage with those followers in a way that is one-to-one, that helps you now move your product or your service or your need in a more specific way. And how you interact with other marketing tools with social is an important part of the entire marketing landscape. And you can imagine that's complex for a small business. And that's one of the things we pride ourselves on putting a lot of investment in.
Welcome to Leadership, the podcast where leadership meets real-world insights. In each episode, you can eavesdrop on exclusive conversations with top thought leaders, best-selling authors, and experts in leadership, communication, relationships, culture, and everything else that shapes your effectiveness in the workplace and in your personal life. Leadership is here for you. Now, here's our host, himself a seasoned coach and best-selling author, Dr. Roger Dean Duncan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership, where we explore smart thinking, strong relationships, and leadership that truly works. And remember, for free resources to help you in your leadership journey, go to leadership.net. That's leadership.net. In today's digital landscape, where attention is currency and connection drives conversion, few companies have navigated the shifting terrain of marketing as successfully as Constant Contact. Under the leadership of Frank Vella, CEO, Constant Contact continues to evolve, empowering millions of small businesses, nonprofits, and entrepreneurs to thrive through smarter email marketing, automation, and data-driven insights. In a world where inboxes are crowded and algorithms shift like sand, what does it really take to build lasting engagement? In this conversation with Frank, we'll explore the intersection of technology and human connection, how brands can stay authentic in an algorithmic world, what the future holds for email and social media marketing, and why personalization has become both a promise and a paradox. Frank Vella, welcome to Leadership.
Roger, thank you for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here.
On the average day, Frank, how many emails are launched through the Constant Contact system?
Wow, great first question. So we distribute approximately 300 million emails a day as we get into the holiday season, as we are now. We will peak at over 500 million emails sent in a day on our clients' behalf.
That's a mind-boggling number. Well, in a data-driven workplace like Constant Contact, how do you cultivate creativity?
Well, fostering the environment. We are a marketing company, and we build and distribute a marketing platform. And so creativity happens by design. We have groups of thinkers in our marketing department, in our user experience teams, and our product teams that are thinking about the creative elements of what we distribute, what we build, and how we get it in the hands of our customers who have to interact with their customers. And so creativity and innovations are culturally part of the norms here at Constant Contact.
So when it comes to innovation, what is your personal leadership philosophy? How do you help people with that?
Yeah, I am not an engineer, and I employ many engineers, hundreds of engineers, and they build amazing technology, great features, great security, great platform. And my contribution is always to try and bring the perspective of the customer. I have a heritage of small business in my life, and looking at what we build through the eyes of a small business person is something that is where the magic happens. How do you take something that's really complex, software, technology, and make it so simple for the user that it's just intuitive and solves their purpose? Because no small business person wakes up in the morning and says, gee, what I want to do today, Roger, is market. They have their customers, they have their employees, they have their worries, and staying in touch with their community is just a part of existence. And we need to take technology and engineering and make it simple and easy to use.
It makes me remember how I felt when I first started using a computer decades ago and everything was DOS. And I was convinced that there were some people out in California who sat in a dark room and said to themselves, what can we do today to help people feel stupid? Because everything seemed so complicated. And today, of course, people don't tolerate that. I mean, we have to have user-friendly technology. So in a world obsessed with social media, where does email marketing stand in terms of return on investment?
Yeah. Well, in return on investment, it is the highest ROI of any marketing tool. That's why there are so many emails sent from small businesses and large businesses and nonprofits and the like. And the difference now is the coexistence with social media. You can harness a huge audience through social media. It has to be part of your existence, and the right social media. The difference between social media and marketing is your connection with people on their terms. You might have a lot of followers, but you can't engage with those followers in a way that is one-to-one, that helps you now move your product or your service or your need in a more specific way. And how you interact with other marketing tools with social is an important part of the entire marketing landscape. And you can imagine that's complex for a small business. And that's one of the things we pride ourselves on putting a lot of investment in.
So what's the biggest misconception today about email marketing?
Two misconceptions. One is that it's dead. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Look at your inbox. Another misconception is that, if you send that many emails in a day, it must be spam. And we do a lot to make sure we're not one of the bad actors. And companies in our space that do what we do the same thing. Any list that gets an email has to be an opt-in list. And we monitor closely for bad behaviors like lists that are bought or aggregated.
Right.
And the important part is there's more than just email. It's got to be integrated with part of your entire marketing message, whether that's social plus email plus SMS plus LinkedIn, and it all has to come together.
So that's clearly a best practice to make sure all of your methods of reaching your target audience are integrated.
Yes, sir.
So what role should email play in a brand's overall marketing ecosystem?
Yeah. Now, specifically, we talk about small business, and brand takes a lot of connotations. A small business doesn't have the wherewithal to spend a lot of money marketing for brand specific, like we do at Constant Contact with television adverts or campaigns that span multi-channels. And so a small business has to cultivate brand through avenues like email and social. And small businesses are very community-based. And so I love our name. Our company was founded 30 years ago, and I often get asked, well, is it still the right name, Constant Contact? It really is. The objective of a small business is to stay in touch with their community. And that's true for our nonprofit customers who might look at just communicating with the community or raise funds as opposed to sell something. And another piece of the puzzle is, I know we've talked about email, but Constant Contact has been around for 30 years. Our founder's mission was to enable small businesses to compete effectively against their larger rivals. And email didn't exist. And over time, it's become very predominant. But it's important that we keep reminding any marketer, small business or large business, that a campaign involves so many elements beyond one tool, from your brand to your social to your email, to how you follow up specifically with different constituents based on how they respond to your marketing efforts.
Right. Well, in data-driven marketing, what role does storytelling play? We hear so much about storytelling these days.
Yeah. This is where art and science come together.
Right.
A story resonates best when it's interesting to the recipient. And how do you connect a good story with an interesting participant? And the answer to that is through data. We can help our customers understand the difference that exists within their customer or donation base. We can understand that Roger responds to emails that offer a discount more often, and Frank responds to an email that launches a new product more often. And can we get smarter on how we are more personal and direct more sale type activities to Roger in that example, and more new launch material to Frank in this example. And so how that comes together, how the data, the science, helps you be more artistic as the deliverer of a message is the secret sauce that brings the two things together.
And that kind of data is becoming more sophisticated every day and more helpful to us if we use it.
You asked how many emails we send in a day.
Yeah.
We talked about the numbers, nearly 500 million campaign interactions a day. And there's a lot of data behind that. The click-throughs and the action taken, the non-openers, the subject lines that work versus the ones that don't. All of that is data that could be harnessed to make our customer a better marketer.
Right.
Yeah.
So how can marketers most effectively use social proof like testimonials, endorsements in their email campaign? What are best practices?
Yeah, first of all, is certainly getting permission.
Sure, of course.
And then you leverage that through the variety of tools and leveraging all your platforms. If you're a storefront, are you leveraging your reviews to promote on other channels? Are you taking those good reviews and turning them into a marketing campaign that includes social plus email plus any other forum that you might use? And it is harnessing the things that resonate and then distributing them across multiple platforms and channels. There's always good leverage from repeatability. The rule of 7, people see a message more than 1 or 2 or 3 times, and they start to associate it with you. And then I'm going to bring it right back to the story. Roger leaves a great review. Maybe there's a story behind that. It's not just the cut and paste of your 2-sentence review, but Roger's a regular customer who's been coming for 10 years, and there's a backstory. How do I turn that interaction into a backstory that now others resonate with and make it human? Because after all the technology, the human-to-human connection and community is really what generates the livelihood of a small business.
That'll always be true. So what emotional triggers seem to be most effective in email and social media copy? What are the best ways to really reach people and get their attention?
What we can do now is understand how that's different by audience. And what I mean by that is we can start to understand that, a certain generation, a Gen X, might respond better to something that has emojis or emoticons in there, right. Shorter sentences and a lot more emojis, where a different audience might respond to more fact-based content, a customer testimonial with, a stat that says 80% of this happens. And so now tailoring a message and the message's tone to your audience is where you come back to using the tools available to you. It might be the exact same message. I have a Black Friday sale on these things, but I know that this demographic responds better when it's presented in short form with emojis. This audience responds better to the exact same message when it is laden with a few facts and some inventory stats to load something up. Same message, different context and delivery. It drives a whole level of connection and engagement that's different. And what we measure for successful campaigns is engagement. How did your audience engage? Not just did they open and click through and take an action. And whatever that action is, make a donation, make a purchase, ask a question. And the more engaging the content is, again, full circle, algorithms will learn from that and help you be a marketer that is more specific to that audience again and again.
It keeps going back to the data.
Keeps coming back to the data.
Yeah.
And as long as I can keep the data, the science I don't want to say hidden like in a bad way, but it's not the customer's problem. It's not the customer's to solve out.
Right.
No small business person has ever come to me and said, gee, I need to understand the deployment of artificial intelligence in the software. Yet, all the things that make their marketing campaign effective are the AI components and the automated components I put behind the scenes. So all they know is, wow, that was easy. That was a good campaign that resonated and I sold more. Isn't that great?
Yeah. I don't care how my microwave works. I just want to make sure it heats up my soup.
You got it.
So earlier you mentioned subject line. Tell us what makes an email's subject line irresistible.
Yeah. The first thing we check for is what makes the subject line not get tagged as spam. Deliverability is important. If you're going to spend some time doing a marketing campaign, then it should get delivered to the inbox. And and there's a lot of data and science around words or bundles of words that'll get caught. And we have great science around that. So we deliver 97 or 98% of what gets created. That's important for our customers.
Sure.
And what works on subject lines? Again, specificity is generally the right tool. Here's an example. I'll look at my inbox and I get a lot of, I wake up and there's a lot of email in there. And I may not open all of the emails. I'll just delete many of them, but I won't unsubscribe because I know at the right time of year, the fishing tour guide that I use once a year will, at some point in time of the year, those emails are relevant to me. So I'll keep them in and I'll go to them. But they'll know how to tag me at the right time on what's specific. Oh, there was a sale on lures because it's the off season. And now you've engaged me. And so specific to your audience is really important. And generic just never seems to work. We see that through the data. Something very specific to a smaller audience works way better than something generic to a broad audience. And so how do we help you segment your lists or your marketing profiles so that only the right people are getting what they need, and then play with that to continue to broaden that and hit success on that?
Your change initiative has the budget. The strategy looks solid, and everyone's nodding along in the meetings. But for some reason, it's going nowhere. Dr. Roger Dean Duncan knows why. After 40 years in the trenches with top business leaders, he knows that change fails when organizations lack the right foundations: trust, accountability, and real communication. Dr. Duncan's free 10-minute assessment shows you exactly where your organization stands. Answer a few straightforward questions that reveal your true change readiness level. Don't waste months discovering the hard way. Get your free assessment today at leadershop.net/change. Again, that's leadershop.net/change.
Frank, I find myself smiling thinking about the CEO of Constant Contact and how he manages his inbox and how he analyzes the emails that he gets. You have insights that most people clearly wouldn't have. That must be an interesting process, the way you manage all the emails that you get.
Yeah, I compartmentalize different things for different reasons. So at work with my team, if I'm sending email for business to my internal team, they're generally few in a day and they're very specific. I don't want to load them up with fodder. If the email can generate a conversation or an action, that's what I'm looking for. Then there's email as me, the individual. I spend more time there, most likely because of my job, getting a feel for what resonated with me. What do I want to unsubscribe to and why? And usually it's, I didn't subscribe to this list. How did they get my name? I don't want to be here. What do I just scroll by? Oh, that's interesting, but not today. When there's one coming back to subject line that says, gee, I wasn't interested on this, but that subject line has me opening it, I make note of that. We take it back to our product teams and analyze, what those buckets need to be. And it's all done on a really quick scroll of sender, subject, sender, subject, sender, subject. I spent 10 years at Microsoft. I also follow the productivity rules of touch it once. If you open it, take the action, read it, delete it, read it, buy something if that's what you're there for, but don't have to revisit an email a second time. And that keeps my inbox kind of sane. And so I look at, my email centricity is one, looking at it like a consumer of email, because that's really what I'm creating. And two, for work, trying to be the most efficient leader. Leaders can get in the way of their people a lot by distracting with too many red herrings. And so I keep my email communication to my team very short and specific. And then try to drive dialogue through the actions.
Sure. Of course, leaders can get in the way of themselves, too. And you just talked about a way to avoid that. Deal with an email in the moment and don't go back to it 2 or 3 times.
You got it.
So what seem to be some of the most effective ways for your clients to repurpose content across channels? What do you see happening?
Yeah, we've made that really easy. An email is not a campaign. An email is an email. And you're going to be an effective marketer if you're driving a campaign. And so we've spent a lot of time building tools where you create once and we help you turn that into a campaign. Now, what's the difference between a campaign and an email? A campaign starts with what's your message? And then how does that message go from social to email to SMS to follow up? And very easily, and we'll learn if you do it once and take it from there. But what happens to people who don't open? What happens to people that do open? What happens to people who do open and click? And we take the science and start to evolve a campaign on your behalf that you approve that takes all of these actions and will follow up. And now what you see on social has the exact same look and feel as the email. So you asked about brand. Small businesses can't invest in brand, but now if what you saw from me on social or what you saw on me in an email resonate and it all looks the same and feels the same, you start to recognize my logo, my brand, and my content. And so we make that distinction between, hey, we'll help you send an event. An event might be a social post or a SMS text or an email or a real event. You want to host a podcast, live show and have people attend. We have that too. But really, it's how do you bring that all to a campaign so that I start to recognize you and your brand through multiple channels. And that's the secret sauce. You drew an analogy to the computer and you said what used to be acceptable when you first started doing computers is no longer acceptable. It was okay when there was no competition to that. But as ease of use came in, you demanded ease of use. If I bring it back to marketing, first, if you were a small business, there wasn't much available to you. And then there was more available to you. And then you needed to use all the things available to you, social and email and SMS, if you were going to compete. But that's really, really complex. And I use the GPS analogy instead of the computer analogy. When I had to print my map out of MapQuest and Drive, that was okay.
Right.
When I put a TomTom on my windshield and use that with no GPS, that was okay. Now I use Waves or Google Maps, and that's what I insist on. Tell me where the traffic and the slowdown is. And if I take it to my analogy, I used to have to create tools that were available to you. And then you had to use the tools to be a great marketer. And my job now is just to teleport you to the other end and make you the marketer, be the marketer for you, not just make you a better marketer. And that's what software and technology is supposed to do on all parts of your life so that you can look after your customers and your employees and do what you're good at. If a small business person or any business person was a good marketer, they'd be in marketing. So my job is not just to make them a good marketer, but to make them market well through our tool because we did it for them. And long-winded, but it talks about the evolution of technology and the human and how they come together.
Well, and you're talking about helping smart people work smarter.
Yeah.
I mean, the technology we have today is marvelous, unimaginable just not that long ago, and it's getting better every day. And it sure sounds like you and your team are keeping up with it all. I mean, what you're talking about involves the integration of a whole lot of smart thinking. Very impressive. So, what's the most overlooked metric in email or social media campaigns?
I'm going to say it's probably engagement. People like to count the number of things they did. I did 1 million social posts, or I did 8 email campaigns. But the real secret sauce, the answer to success is, what's the engagement? What did that social media post get you in terms of the objectives you had? Did it get you known, if that's your objective? Did it get you customers, if that's your objective? Did it get you donations, if that's your objective? How do you translate that into a benefit for your time? You need an ROI. Time is the most constrained resource a business person has, even a small business person, maybe more. So engagement is the measure that we look at for successful campaigns. And engagement means, was there an action, and is there a second and third interaction event that happened because you engaged with that constituent, that customer? And engagement is the most overlooked one. It's not how, it's not quantity, it's quality more often than not.
Sure. If you don't have any engagement, you don't really know what's going on in the head of your target audience.
Yeah.
So what seem to be the best practices for optimizing send times and frequency in email campaigns?
Frequency is important. Again, it's audience specific. More is not better. An example might be a retailer that emails me every day. To me, that's annoying.
Yeah.
I don't need to know from the retailer every day. But my weather app, sending me something in the morning that's top of email box that says it's 33 degrees out today because I walked to work.
Yeah.
I'm going to open it every day. I want that every day. If I miss it when I'm traveling and it comes on the Eastern time zone and I'm in Europe, it's not great for me. And so more is not better. Relevance is better. So frequency is tied to message and relevance and audience. And we really try to coach that in our tool. Some people think more is better. It's not the case.
So what advice would you give to first-time entrepreneurs who are building their brands? What would you tell them?
You got into the business that you got into because you're passionate about it and you love it and you're good at it. Make that your primary focus. Give that as much time and attention and resource as you possibly can, and leverage tools, software, technology, leverage community, leverage mentors and people you trust who've been in your business before to help you do all the other things you have to do and do them well. But a small business owner grows and becomes, an administrator. That's not what they love. That's not what they got in the business to do. And so there is more and more available to you every quarter to just automate and use technology so that you can do what you do well, which is focus on your customer, your brand, your employees. If you're a small business, your community, your staff is often your family. And that's what's important to them. A small business owner treats their customers like family, and they wear it that way. They wear it on their best. And so my advice to any entrepreneur is leverage the tools around you so that you can do what your passion is, because that'll make you successful.
Well, Frank, tell us from your perspective, what role can AI tools play in boosting the effectiveness of email marketing campaigns? And what cautions can you offer about using AI? That seems to be the rage right now.
Mm-hmm. AI is not a substitute for the human. In most cases, it's an enabler to make the human more productive. Use AI to free up time. Use AI to do things better and faster, or less expensively, cheaper, so that you can have resources to put into your business. Now, come back to, well, how do I do that? I'm not a developer. It's using tools. Everything that we talked about in our technology has some AI connection. I talked about deliverability. Every single message, every one of those 500 million messages gets scanned for bad links, infiltration by a bad actor, subject lines that have moved out of spam. You don't know that I'm using AI to do that, but you know your campaign was successful. Subject lines, you talked about that. We use AI to say, hey, before you send this, think about changing your subject line. Here are 2 or 3 options that might work better. It's very polite. You could say no, but we're saying we're going to help you get more engagement. That's AI. Taking a few sentences. I have to, sell my inventory by, the day after Black Friday. Help me with a campaign. And then us turning that into a social post for Facebook and a different social post for LinkedIn and a different email campaign with a follow-up SMS where it all looks and feels the same and ties to the same sale. That's all AI driven. We will take your brand. And so AI and technology should be invisible. And what you didn't realize happened is instead of spending 3 hours to get that campaign done, I spent 30 minutes to get it done. And you should not know that happened other than it worked and it was easy and I can go on to my day job. And you should look for that in all the tools you use. How can I do more with less? Because the vendor, the creator of that tool, has invested in the technology to make it so.
Well, you've mentioned so many things that Constant Contact does that I was unaware of. Let me ask, what is your favorite underutilized feature in Constant Contact? What do you have, what ability do you have to help people that many of them seem to be unaware of?
There are things I love about the product, and I have family with small businesses that I coach all the time. So I would say 1, scheduled send. As simple as that sounds, there's better times to send an email, and just because you thought of it, you shouldn't send it that minute.
Right.
Schedule your sends to match your campaign. Saves you from sending 2 or 3 irrelevant emails. That's number 1. Number 2, segmentation. You can ask the tool to expose to you different types of users. Tell me about my base. Help me segment people who respond to sale versus new product so that you can, again, send more targeted things to people who are interested in those. Those 2 things turn you from a noisemaker on email to a campaigner on a marketing platform. And when I'm helping my family members set up their Constant Contact instance, I always go right to those few things.
Well, it must be nice having the CEO of Constant Contact be your mentor.
Family is family.
Family is family. That's true.
My mother still calls me because she says her grandson might be too busy. So I'm her son. I'm not too busy. She's going to call me to get to my son.
Yeah.
Family is family, and we love it.
That's great. So what upcoming technologies excite you most for marketing in the next 5 to 10 years?
It probably doesn't exist. So 30 years ago, email didn't exist. It is going to be about hyper-personalization, meaning let me send to Roger exactly what resonates with him when it's important to him. And there will be enough data and enough technology so that you get the message on the day that's important to you. And because I'm making this up, but because it knows it's your spouse's birthday, and as opposed to sending happy birthday to her, maybe a week in advance telling you do you want to buy those flowers again, like you did last year on this day, is intelligent. And so we'll help automate for our customers so that they can connect with their customers in a hyper-personal way. And I think that's the evolution of relevance and engagement. When it's very specific to me and it resonates with me, I will open it every day and take an action 4 times than not.
Well, it's an exciting world out there and seems to be getting more exciting every day. Well, thank you so much, Frank. As expected, this has been an insightful conversation. Marketing has always been about people, about understanding, serving, and inspiring them. As algorithms get smarter and channels multiply, the brands that will win are not necessarily the loudest or the largest. They're the most human. Frank has reminded us that in a world chasing clicks and conversions, innovation and empathy don't exist in opposition. They thrive together when we design technology that amplifies connection, not replaces it. If you found this episode valuable, please share it with your team, your network, or anyone else who's ready to make better use of human connections. And be sure to leave a review. Even a single sentence fuels the algorithms that promote the great content that the Leadership podcast offers. And remember, for free resources to help you in your leadership journey, go to leadership.net. That's leadership.net. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time, stay safe, be happy, and spread good cheer wherever you go. For Leadership, I'm Roger Dean Duncan.